But
Okay, nice.
you were not there that time. Well, dear devotees, we thank you all for being here. We're very much fortunate. We have His Grace Harinamananda Prabhu, who needs no introduction. And I always say this is very amazing how ISKCON is such an amazing organization because the spiritual masters uh, sometimes may not know us physically until initiation day. Yet the names they give us kind of reflect who we are. And if we were not a reflection of the name, they empower us to become a reflection of the name. So Harinamananda Prabhu is here with us. We all know him, how he loves the holy names of the Lord. And it's always blissful to have his association here. Prabhuji, we're going to put the verse on the screen and then you take it over from here. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 10, Text 21. Yadapmani niralokam apmanam cha didikshata nivinehi yakshani tasya jyotis chakshu gunagraha. Translation. Thus, when everything existed in darkness, the Lord desired to see himself and all that was created. Then the eyes, the illuminating God of sun, the power of vision, and the object of sight all became manifested. Purport. The universe is by nature dense darkness, and therefore the total creation is called tamas, or darkness. The night is the real feature of the universe, and for then one cannot see anything, including oneself. The Lord, out of his causeless mercy, first desired to see himself, and all the creation as well, and thus the sun became manifested. The power of vision for all living entities became possible, and the objects of vision were also manifested. This means that the whole phenomenal world became visible after the creation of the sun. Omagyantimadandasya Gyananashalakaya Chakshulitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayamrupa Mayam Dadati Swavedantikam Kata Yata Yata Yasmin Duskaram Sukaram Bhavet Visvite Vipriyatin Shri Chaitanya Nanamitam Panchagapatarubhyascha Kripasindhuvyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasiri Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So everything is dependent on the Lord. Mata Pratana Manya Kintirasti Dhananja Maisamamidam Praptam Sutta Maniganaiva. Krishna says in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita that there's no truth superior to me. Everything rests on me, just like pearls are strung on the thread. So Krishna is that thread that holds up everything. We may see the pearls of this world like the sun and so many other beautiful things we see in this chapter here. The Lord is desiring to touch, desiring to hear, desiring to smell, desiring to see. And it's because of his desire of wanting to see, then we can see. Our eyes are useless unless there is sun. And the sun is useless unless we have eyes and the objects of sight. So they're all interdependent. But the Lord is independent. He is beyond all these things. All these things, all energies, everything, rests, depends on the Supreme Personality Krishna. This universe is a place of darkness. There's no light here. It's kind of like a coconut, but there's many layers above the center. The fifth canto describes that there are layers of each element of the material world. So it starts off with earth, and then it's 10 times more thicker. You got water, you have air, you have ether, then mind, intelligence, and false ego. So all the 24 elements are manifested due to false ego in touch with the different modes of nature, particularly the mode of ignorance. Ignorance means ignorance of our relationship with Krishna. This is where darkness is. There's a saying in the Vedas that one should leave darkness and come to the light. Tamasima Jyotigama. And in the Back to Godhead slogan on the magazine, it says, Godhead is light and essence is darkness. I've been born in the darkest place of ignorance. So we can see how insignificant our situation is. We are pretty much buried by these 24 elements. We are the insignificant spirit soul. That soul is 1/10,000th of the part of the tip of a hair. It's so insignificant. And we're stuck there. But the Lord is so merciful. We are insignificant, but He cares about us. He loves us so much that He'll give us a chance to come back to Him, to experience the light, to experience real life with Him in Krishna consciousness. And we see here, just to see this material world, just to interact with this material, He puts a sun. So we see that this analogy of the sun, or this reference to the sun, comes up in many places in the scripture. As like the sun, and mind is like darkness. Wherever there's Krishna, there's no mind. And darkness is described as the back of the Lord. So we don't care about our back so much. If we're attacked, we protect the front. The back, we give it, we sacrifice it. And darkness is dependent on light. When you face the sun, there is no darkness. You can see everything. But when you face your back to the sun, then you see the shadow cast out in front of you. There is the darkness. So unfortunately, we've turned our back on Krishna, but Krishna doesn't turn his back on us. He's caused his mercy upon us in so many ways. So let's look at a few things. The Bhagavatam is described as brilliant as the sun, is emanating the light in this dark age of Kali, creating a revolution in the consciousness of the impious lives of a misdirected civilization. Those who are thoroughly honest like to hear this from our Bhagavatam. This is bringing light to our lives. That's why we hear it every day, because we do get into ignorance every night, going to bed. We are in ignorance. We have forgotten even who we are, who is God, and our relationship with Him. But the Bhagavatam gives 3 subject matters: Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prarojana. Sambandha Gyan means to know who I am, which means I'm not this material body. That the embodied soul continually passes from babyhood to childhood to youth to old age, and then at death goes into another body. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. So we know we're not this body, and that soul is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. We can see that the changing bodies. You have a picture of when you were a baby, and you look so cute, you look completely different, and you point to people, yeah, this is me. I don't look like that anymore. So the body has changed. That baby body does not exist anymore. Scientists say every 7 years, every cell in the body is completely replaced. So I'm 37, so I'm in how many bodies? 5. So I'm in my 6th body now. And I heard Demarita Maharaj said, like in the early days, because if you eat Mahaprasadam for 7 years, then your body will become Mahaprasadam after 7 years. You need to become Krishnized, spiritualized. Even this body can be spiritualized. Oh, Prema! Hare Krishna. Yes, we love Prasadam. Prema Suputta, he told me there's one devotee, at the Sunday feast, he would get all the preps with a big plate and sit there with his legs out. And then there's this big mountain of prasadam, mix it all up, and then just devour it all. So much faith in prasadam. It's a big deal, really. I've been reading the Acharya's comments on the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, talking about the remnants of sacrifice. And they glorified not just the making of prasadam or the offering of prasadam, but also the honoring of prasadam. Those who honor prasadam literally benefit the entire universe. The demigods are fighting over the prasadam of the Lord. We see in the Chaitanya Mangal that Narada Muni visit Narayan and got the Mahaprasad a little bit, tiny bit. And then he went to see Lord Shiva. And he had something underneath his nail and gave to Lord Shiva. And his wife, Parvati, was very upset about this. It's like, oh, you're so selfish. You don't care about anyone else. You didn't give me any maha. Just a little bit from the nail. Nothing was there. So then she made a vow that in Jagannath Puri, that there'll be unlimited prasadam for everyone. So that's why when you go to Jagannath Puri, you see there's so much prasadam being offered to the Lord. Chapan Bhog, 56 offerings every day to Lord. And then it's not small. You see them big, big pots. You see the big pandas, they're carrying these big pots of rice and they're overflowing on top. So many preps of their sweets. If you meet the right person in Jagannath Puri, they can hook you up with the Mahaprasad, Lord Jagannath. So you can see the causeless mercy of the Lord is reminding us that we are not part of this material world. We are part of the spiritual world. So Sabandha Gyan, we know that we're not this material body, we're an eternal spirit soul. And that spirit soul is a part and parcel of the Supreme Person of God. The Supreme Soul, oh God, Allah, Jehovah, Onkul Onkulos, Bok, so many names for the Supreme Lord, Govinda, Rama, Hari. So we are part of him. We're the same equality as the Lord. Just like the molecule of the sun shine and the sun globe itself. Same quality, different quantity. Just like a drop of the ocean and the ocean itself. Same in quality, different in quantity. So we have to develop a relationship with the Lord. Mohavamsa Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, Manasastrani Indrani, Prakritistani Karshiti. Being that part and parcel, we're struggling with the mind and the senses in this material world. They always hold us back. So how do you act in that relationship? That is called abhideya. This is the process of bhakti. Sabapadi vini muktan tatpanate namamalam rishikena rishikesha sevna bhakti uchite. That by bhakti means to engage the senses in the service of the master of senses, Rishikesh. In that way, two things take place. You give up all designations to this material world. We have so many labels: man, woman, non-binary, binary. We have different job descriptions. We have nationalities. We have skin color. We have caste. We have rich and poor. All these are temporary. They don't carry any. They don't have nothing to do with us. These designations. We finally realized our real designation as a Drupasrupahoy Krishna and Ichadas, as an eternal servant of Krishna. This is our position. So how to act in that as a servant. So you need to know who you really are. This is getting rid of those labels. And then you get rid of all the karma, all the reactions that you've accumulated due to past activities in this material world, good and bad. So then you're pure. Karma means, in the 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita says, karma means those actions pertaining to the development of future material bodies. So people think action reaction. No, you're building your next body. We don't want another body. We want to awaken our spiritual body, the swarup of the spiritual world. We want a body that's eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. This is who we really are. In the spiritual world, you are your body. That's what we're looking for. But in illusion, we think in this material world, this material body is us. Temporary, full of ignorance, and full of misery. Such an illusion, such darkness. We are sleeping. We need to be Godakesh, like Arjuna. Godakesh means one who conquers sleep, one who conquers darkness. That can only happen in connection to Krishna. How to connect to Krishna? We do it through the spiritual master. Tavidi pranipatena pranipasena sevya upadekshanti te jnanam jnanas tav pradarshana. Krishna says, just try to approach a spiritual master, inquire from him submissively, and render service unto him. These self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. They have seen you, they have seen Krishna, and they know exactly how you can give so much pleasure to Krishna. What is your service? What is your position in relation to Krishna and his energies? So he engages us in that way. Chakshu Dilo Jamme Jamesh Prabhu said, Divyagan Hide Prakashito. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. So the spiritual master, the purport to this verse 434, it says that the spiritual master will test the disciple. And if the disciple passed the test, then he blesses him with transcendental knowledge. So you can read all the books, but unless you get the blessings of the spiritual master, you will not know who you are. You will not know who is Krishna. Your lights, your heart will not be enlightened by transcendental knowledge. Tesham satata yuktanam brajatam pritipurvikam tadami bodhi yogatam yanamam upayantite. We have to always be engaged in affectionate, loving service to the Lord. In that way, the Lord gives tadami bodhi yogantam. He gives buddhi, intelligence, on how to come close to him. So the best way to show your love to Krishna is to serve his pure devotee. Yasya prasada bhagavat prasada, yasya prasada nagati katopi. That without the mercy of the spiritual master, one does not get mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And we want that transcendental knowledge, to be living in light, in truth, in Godhead. So this spiritual master is sent by the Supreme Lord when one is eager to come close to him. Brahma Bodhite Bhagavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasadik Pai Bhakti Latta Bij. Wandering in this material universe, up and down so many planetary systems, and even into the Brahma Jyoti, we've been there before. There's one devotee in the UK, his name is Jayadev. He's a disciple of Shivaram Swami. He used to be a famous pop singer in the 80s, and he does past life regression. So he's met many devotees. Some devotees, they're born in the movement, and they have some psychological problem. There's like some mental block or intellectual block. So he goes into their past life to try and find out what's wrong. One particular incident was really cool. I'll share. So there was this, I think, one Mataji. So she had some abuse when she was younger, even though she was a devotee. And so they went into the past life, wondering who she was in the past life. And then he can speak to them in that past life situation because it's all stored in your subtle body. And this girl was a monkey in Vrindavan. Oh, you're a monkey? Yeah, I used to steal glasses and all these things. And I used to come to the temple to hear the Bhagavatam class every morning. Like, oh, okay, okay. And then, but like, as we know from scripture and from devotees, if you die as an animal in Vrindavan, you just finish up your karma and you go back to Godhead, right? That's what we've heard. So, um, so he tries to go further, and she remembers the death as a monkey, and then there's this bright effulgence all of a sudden, and then he goes, "Okay, what do you see?" Yes, it is bright light. And then what else do you see? And then she starts crying. And he's like, what is it? Oh, he's so beautiful. But who is so beautiful? He's so beautiful. Who is it? It's Govinda. Oh, it's Govinda. Is he saying anything to you? He goes, yes. He says, you won't come back to Godhead, to Goloka right away, but you'll take birth in my pastimes. So as we hear from the Krishna book, it says that before going back to Godhead, you take birth in a universe where Krishna is having his pastimes, that as if it's like a training before you go back to the spiritual world. So she takes birth in Prabhupada's ISKCON. So Prabhupada's ISKCON is actually the Gora Lila. It's still going on now. And even though you may have been a devotee before and taking birth there, or you just come in contact with it, Prabhupada has given this mercy that's why you can go back to Godhead in this lifetime, not in several. This lifetime, go back to Godhead, back home, back to Godhead. This is the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. This is the mercy of the spiritual master. This is the mercy of Krishna. Putting that bhakti like the beach. So we water it with hearing and chanting. So it finally reaches up to the lotus feet of Krishna and produces that fruit of love of Godhead. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda are compared to the sun and moon that has risen in Gaudadesh to enliven everyone in Kali Yuga. And we think, oh, how did they deliver everyone? Chaitanya Charitamrita says, by the two Bhagavats, the book Bhagavat, Srimad Bhagavatam, and the person Bhagavat. So just like we quoted this verse, Teshan Satada Yuktanam, but also we need to do Nityam Bhagavata Sevya. So Nityam Bhagavata Sevya means to always read and hear the Bhagavatam, or to serve the instruction of the spiritual master. That we should have one point in intelligence onto that instruction of the spiritual master. Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says one should make it their life and soul. And we saw the example of Srila Prabhupada. Whenever you get money, print books. You're a nice young man. You can spread this Krishna consciousness to the English-speaking world. And what a result. Prabhupada said, this miracle happened to me. Can you imagine? I mean, a beautiful Krishna consciousness. And you're 70, so it's easy to think you're on the of this body. So he understood that nothing is more important than instruction, my spiritual master. Somehow gets on a cargo ship, 2 heart attacks, lands in the winter of New York, doesn't know where to go, left or right, $7 in hand, 40 rupees only. I mean, back a long time ago, and he did. He was like looking which one's the boat back. He did return to the pier, but 11 years goes around the world 14 times, 108 temples. I don't know how many times you have gone around the world. I don't know how many temples you've established. He wrote 60 books. In order to write such books, he had to sleep only 2 hours every night. You get me one day with 2 hours of sleep. I'm angry. I can't concentrate. I'm falling over nearly. Forget chanting rounds, it's not going to happen. But Prabhupada did it. He was chanting rounds. He was instructing disciples. He was organizing a worldwide movement and translating these books with amazing purports. So they can be law books for the next 10,000 years in this Kali Yuga, the golden age. And he said, how did this miracle happen to me? It's only because I 100% follow the instruction of my spiritual master. This is such a great gift for us because he didn't come in as like, there's many pseudo gurus who claim to be incarnations of God or demigods. And they claim to just be this self-enlightened personality. And then we're all the fallen souls and we can't do anything without them when they're around. But Prabhupada, he made his presence available and he made us also see that we can also become pure devotees. We can live in the light of the Bhagavat. We can live in the glance, the merciful glance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for serving the book Bhagavat and the person Bhagavat. No more do we have to live in darkness anymore. The next verse in the Gita, when it says to try and approach a spiritual master, the next verse says, then you're no more in illusion. And you know that all living entities are just part of the Supreme, and you can't enter into illusion again. So this is the gift of Krishna through the Bhagavatam, through the spiritual master, and through transcendental knowledge, wherever we get it from, especially within the heart, the super soul. So in any circumstance, whether it's even to live in this material world, and if we want to live in the spiritual, we need the light of the spiritual master's instructions and the Srimad Bhagavatam. So I'll stop here and we'll see if there's any comments or questions.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, HARINAMANANDA Prabhu. Of course, it's always beautiful hearing from devotees, and more particularly, it's very interesting hearing from you. Because as I've observed how you speak, mostly you share your experiences and experiences of devotees that might have shared, that have been shared with you, and you also pass it on. I was speaking to one senior God brother, and he was emphasizing the importance of speaking based on our experience, which helps devotees a lot. Oftentimes we don't. And we all have some experiences, otherwise we would still not be here. So if it's just scriptures say, it's nice, but others also want to hear, after reading all those scriptures, what do you feel? And so it's very interesting you share with us what you do share with us. So we go to another Kirtan lover, Shri Prema Samputa. Please, you may unmute, Prema Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hey, accept my humble obeisance. Thank you so much for the moderation always and inspiration. Yeah, you're a role model. And Harinamananda, thank you so much for taking time to come on the platform to speak. And I really love the point that you raised, and my senior good brother also confirmed on that sharing experience during lecture. You know, when somebody sit down, it's like, wow, this is it's practical. It can be done. And you did talk about if one want to keep progressing, we just have to chant. And I want to remind you, 2012 in Mauritius Island, you were in the market chanting, chanting. I did not go that day. You went alone. And I think you were being beaten by some strangers, but you never give up chanting. What is your motivation factor to keep on chanting? Always dancing in the air, jumping. What, what keep that drive going till now? And you never grow old.
Well, Prabhuji, before you answer Professor Ambuta's question, beautiful question, I also would want to add to it that I'm not a prayerful person, but sometimes I pray for you, Harinamananda Prabhu. When I see you jumping like that, I get reminded of how Hanuman was struck by the sun god. It's like you're trying to catch the sun disk from the sky. It's so beautiful. Hare Krishna. So you may go ahead and answer Prema Prabhu's question.
Yes. Okay, so that incident, those two incidents I meant in Mauritius, but the one you were mentioning, so what happened was, yeah, so we went to the local bus stop there.
Yeah, I think
there's noise behind it.
Where's it coming from?
yeah, I think it is from Harimananda Prabhu's location.
I don't have anyone here. It's quiet here.
Okay, all right. Okay, then we'll fix it.
You got
Yeah,
it?
go ahead. Yes, good.
Okay, sure. So that time in Mauritius, yeah, I first met Premisa Putta there with Bhakti Damana Maharaj. It was my first time in Mauritius. I was very young. I was very fired up, lots of energy, not so much now. And so I do Harinam every day because it was the instruction of my spiritual master. So that's the main motivation. But obviously, it doesn't happen every day that someone is trying to beat you up or disturb you. It doesn't. I mean, like, even though most devotees ask or want to hear of stories and Harinam when you nearly died, it's not like a daily thing. It already happens like once, maybe every 10 years or something. But I, my motivation to speak about Harinam is to encourage the devotees to go out. And I feel like if I talk about these stories, maybe you won't go out in case someone wants to beat you up. So I just want to make that disclaimer. It's not like, anyone who goes on Harinam, there's always someone ready to beat you up, and then you have to do a Palad Mirage, and then Krishna saves you in the last moment. No. It's actually very blissful, and people love Harinam. And there's every now and then there would be opposition, and it's sent by Krishna. Because you're directly attacking Kali's regime to put everyone into ignorance. You're directly attacking Maya's regime to put everyone into illusion. So sometimes there needs to be someone to come along and try and stop you. And usually every time there's someone that tries to stop the Harinam, then I think, okay, this Harinam was good because Mai had to step up the game. So that particular incident, there was actually one other devotee with me. His name is Abai now, and he was distributing books with me. And we went to the central of the major city called Port Louis, and we went to the bus stop. And there were many school kids finishing school, and they've never seen devotees. And though they went like in Mauritius, it's majority like Indian descent, but there's also African descent there as well. But they don't mix so much with the Indians. So they've never seen her, and they didn't know what it was. So they saw me banging the drum, dancing like crazy. So then they started throwing stuff at us, like pumpkins and so many other things. And I was thinking, okay, let's just follow in the footsteps of Lord Nityananda and just keep chanting. And whatever's going on is just because of my karma. So we kept chanting. And the same boys, eventually they saw that like we were experiencing something else. Like when you chant under that pressure that you think you should stop, you keep chanting much louder and you go beyond the mind. And then there's this great happiness that comes through. And you're like, okay, Krishna's pleased and giving us some bliss. So then the same kids who were instigating all the other kids to throw things at us or even, say names at us. So they came back afterwards and they apologized. They said, sorry, we didn't know that, you were like a Sami person or something like that. I don't know. They were speaking Creole. So they apologized and they said, is there anything we can do? I said, all I want you to do is chant the holy name. So then they chanted Maha Mantra and, they were more repentive. So, I mean, I guess it is a victory in that sense. But I think the main victory is that we kept chanting despite the conflict. And that's what the Sri Shastakam says, Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtan, that it's always victorious. You can never lose. Once you stop chanting, that's when you can lose. And actually, everything's dark in this age of Kali. Kaladoshanadira Janastiyako Mahaguna Kirtanareva Krishnasya Mukta Sangha Paramajay. It's an ocean of faults, an ocean of darkness. But there's only one good quality, the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. And by this chanting, one can attain the supreme destination. So that's the only thing that works. That's pretty much my realization. It's like you could try everything else, even with whatever you try to do in this world. If you don't chant, you always be defeated. Because the mind and senses are too strong. And the shining light of the holy name, it just fixes everything. You may have a struggle, say if it's japa or it's kirtan. The mind, it's just the mind giving you a hard time. But if you chant louder, the mind goes away. You're free from the struggle from the mind and senses. Because it's Krishna himself. There's no one more powerful than Krishna. Nam Chintamani Krishnas Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Punasudo Nijo Mukto Binatam Nami Namino. That name is a touchstone. Whatever you want, you desire, you get it. Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha, we're looking for unconditional love that lasts forever and it's increasingly blissful. So that name is Chaitanya, it's alive, it's dynamic. Rasa Vigraha, that form of the Lord of complete rasa. Akila Rasan Rita Muti. The reservoir of all pleasure is there. Punasado Nicho Mukto. So it's complete. There's nothing missing. You got Hare and Krishna. You have all energies and you have the source of all energies, Krishna, the energetic. So there's nothing else there. You may be chanting japa and you think of all the other things you have to do. If I don't think of these things, then how will they be done? No, everything's within Hare and Krishna. There's nothing outside of that. Puna Sudo, it's pure. Nothing can contaminate it. There's no such thing as like a contaminated kirtan. Unless we have this, if the milk is touched by the lips of a serpent, due to personalism, it's recommended not to hear from them because when they chant, they get like an empty shell, counterfeit name, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says. So we must chant in the mood of begging for devotion, or Trinadapi Sunichena Tororipe Savisana, Amadina Kirtana Sarahari, that you should be humbler than the grass, more tolerant than a tree. Yes, if people throw pumpkins and bandages and water bottles at you, just keep chanting. Not tolerate if you don't respect anyone. Keep chanting and you will. Keep chanting and you will. So they kind of serve each other, these instructions. It's on the liberated platform, and it's eternal. It's not part of this temporary world. Namini Namino, that it's not different from that Supreme Person, that sweet personality Krishna. You are not alone. So everyone says, we are not. It's illusion to think that we're ever alone. Look how merciful Krishna is to give us the sun. It says that it's his eyes even. So if you're thinking that no one's looking out for you, just look up into the sky. The sun is there. Krishna is looking at you. So I hope I answered your question, bro.
Yeah, it's well answered. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
It's nice to see you again. Are you in
Yeah,
Croatia?
yeah, I'm in Croatia. Anytime you come with a group,
I have to come there, huh?
yeah, but at the moment I'm in Delhi.
Oh, you're in Delhi. Okay.
All right, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for the question. And Sri Harinamananda Prabhu, thank you so much for the answer. Madhuvan Prabhu, please give me on mute.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Harinamananda.
Hare Krishna.
All glories unto your little feet. Thank you for your very wonderful. Thank you very much. We quite appreciate your presentation. This particular text, I still want us to look at it a bit critically, because if we have to present this type of knowledge to people, the generality of the people, I'm sure there will be some questions that will be raised, because the text tells us that the universe by nature is dense darkness, and are you hearing me, Prabhu?
Yeah.
I can, just a little bit. I don't know if you have to speak closer to a microphone on your device.
Okay, I'll do that.
Okay.
So, yeah. Now, we are discussing about creation.
Yes.
Which I believe is the primary creation. So, it was now stated that the Lord, out of his costless mercy, first desired to see himself and the creation as well. So, how could somebody be creating in darkness and even to the extent he's not seeing himself? Then another question also, the Supreme Lord has transcendental body and is self-effulgent. So how could the situation arise when he couldn't see himself? So those are just the basic things.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Yes. I didn't touch too much on the I was touching more on because when I was researching this verse, I was like, okay, there's references to the sun and light, and then there's also darkness or ignorance. And there's so many references in the scriptures referring to darkness in different places and the sun and light. And I felt like, if I try and speak on all these subject matters, then I'm gonna give a seminar, for 5 days. So I've tried to get more into, as an individual, the Bhagavatam itself, and the mercy of the Lord giving light through the sun and also through transcendental knowledge to deliver us from the darkness of this universe and also ignorance, which is, mainly to the contact of false ego and the mode of ignorance. Now, here, this particular chapter is referring to the universal form of Lord, which is a more like a temporary or material form of the Lord. It's not the transcendental body of the Lord, but it helps encourage us to understand how the Lord provides everything. And we cannot move without the Lord. Everything is dependent on the Lord. Even we're going into the Adidevika, Adibhutika, and Adhyatmika. So we see here we have the eyes, which is the sense, and then we have the Devata, which is the sun god, and then we have the sense object of the matra spasas, which is the sight, the sense objects for the eyes, and we see their interdependence. So saying that the Lord desired to see himself, it's not like he goes blind and now he saw himself. Obviously, he could see everything. He's he's a super soul. He's everywhere like this. But it shows how dependence on him. Unless he sees, then we see. Like that. Yes, then we get to hear. Unless he decides to touch, then we can experience touch. So nothing, what we do can be independent from the Lord at all, zero. Everything's within the realm, within the mercy, within the power, the jurisdiction of the Supreme Personality of the Lord. So because, especially the second canto, right in the beginning, we want to see the supremacy of the Lord. And we have this chapter before the first step in God realization, which is understanding the universal form. So because we cannot appreciate Krishna in his supremacy as that coward, sweet cowhead boy, just a little boy, even just with two hands, it's already too much. And even for the Hindus, they want like a god with multiple hands and 50 heads and like this. So because it's so human, we can't really appreciate that so much, how he's the supreme and he's so sweet we see around us, and how he is maintaining it and establishing and all the systems involved. And then just like, for example, a big man, say like a president of a country, or like, I don't know, Elon Musk is the richest man at the moment publicly. And then we find out he likes to eat some simple food stuff, or, you meet him directly and he's like, hey, how are you? Okay, yeah, I got this back pain. And he acts very human. It's not so extraordinary, but it amazes you because like, wow, he's so down to earth. Everyone meets their, I don't know, their famous singer or something. It's like, oh, look, he just drinks like everyone else, or he eats like everyone else. He's so down to earth. So when we hear about Krishna maintaining this whole universe through this manifestation of the universal form, then we're like in awe and reverence. Wow, he's so great. He's so powerful. But then he's so sweet and accepting of us insignificant souls that he's willing to take our offering of prayers, our offering of boga, please accept. So that's why one doesn't jump to the 10th canto. One needs to understand the supremacy of God in truth from the 1st to the 9th canto. And when you have that, then when you hear about Krishna's pastimes and his sweetness and his dealings with his devotees, it's even more amazing. It's like, wow, this great personality is just dealing so intimately with his devotees, and we have that opportunity too. What an amazing person he is. Is that okay? Did I answer the question?
Yeah. Okay, Prabhu, thank you very much. In the sense that you emphasize our dependence on the Supreme Lord. So I quite
Yes.
appreciate it.
Okay, great.
Dependence.
Thank you.
Thank you, my divine Prabhu, for the question. Actually, I had a question, just like what my divine Prabhu asked. I used past tense, which may indicate that I no more have the question to ask because of the answer you gave. But I still have a question in line with what Madhavan Prabhu asked, but a little differently. And before I ask my question, I think Harinamananda Prabhu, when you said that, when you're referring to the Purusha of the Lord, when you said the Lord's material body, I believe you meant to say the spiritual body of the Supreme Lord manifested in this material universe. Because the body of the Lord is always spiritual. But my question is, I think it might be much clearer if we put it on the screen.
Okay.
This is what Lord Brahma is saying. Thus, when everything existed in darkness, the Lord desired to see himself and all that was created. Then the eyes, the illuminating God's Son, the power of vision, and the object of sight all became manifested. I also looked at this text before we met here today, and I was pleasantly surprised and happy at the same time because I had read this.
Okay.
Sometimes
1 second before you continue, I just want to rebuttal the universal form because we have a purport from the 45th verse in the 11th chapter of Gita.
Yeah.
So it says here that here we go. So Arjuna therefore is asking Krishna to show his Narayan form because he can assume any form. This universal form is material and temporary, as the material world is temporary. But the Vaikuntha planet, he has his transcendental form with 4 hands as Narayan. So, I mean, that's where I got my universal form is material and temporary. Sorry.
That's good to know. That's good to know. Thank you for the rebuttal, Harinamananda Prabhu. Thank you for the rebuttal. Maybe we can. What is the text again? Gita
11:45.
11:45. Okay, I'll try to study that. Yeah. But the reason I said that is that the form of the Lord is always spiritual. But of course, when we talk of the Virat forms, like we read from the I think chapters 6, 7 of Canto 2, where the Lord Brahma actually talking about the different manifestations of the Lord, where the mountain represents this, the rivers represent this. These are material, and even though they are the forms of the Lord, but what I was referring to was the form of the Supreme Lord himself as a person.
Oh yes, of
yeah,
course.
that's what I. So
yes,
I think
that is definitely spiritual.
Yeah, that is where the misunderstanding I got came from. But again, sorry if I may put the verse back here. Sorry.
Yes, no problem. That's okay.
Yeah. We understand that Sri Krishna in his kingdom, I think Bhagavad Gita chapter 15, verse 6, Krishna himself explains, tells Arjuna that in his kingdom, there is no need of electricity, there is no need of sun, there is no need of moon. The bodily effulgence of the Supreme Lord permeates everywhere. And here we are hearing that this part of the Supreme Lord's kingdom is full of darkness. And we again understand that the Supreme Lord is unlimited. So how then does such an unlimited Supreme Lord, that everything about him is unlimited, and his effulgence does not get to this part of his kingdom, that he has to again create something to mimic that effulgence in his kingdom? So one may say that then the Supreme Lord, Krishna, is not the absolute, because if he were absolute, then his effulgence should get to this particular place also.
Yeah. This is classic. Yeah, this is classic argument. So, it's not that the Lord is, or his effulgence is covered, it's that we're covered. Just like the sun. It's not like from our perspective, it looks like the cloud covers the sun. But no, the source of the cloud is because of the sun. And it's covering us. And from our perspective, it looks like the sunshine, the sun is covered. So from our perspective, it looks like there's no Brahma Jyoti. But if you go to verse 424 in the Gita, Brahma Havi, Brahmana Brahma Vitum, Brahmaiva Gavat. Gosh, I'm sorry, I forgot it. But it's pretty much saying how everything is Brahman. And in the purport, Brahma Panam Brahma Havi, Brahmana Brahmana Hitam, Brahmaiva Tena Gantavya, Brahmaka Samadhina. So a person is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness is sure to attain the spiritual kingdom because of his full contribution to spiritual activities, in which the consummation is absolute and that which is off is of the same spiritual nature. I like the purport to this because Prabhupada says that actually everything is in the Brahma Jyoti, even in the material world, which is true because everything is Brahman. Sarva Kalera Brahman, that everything is Brahma because it comes from the Supreme Brahman. All energies are coming from him. So
what Srila Prabhupada is stating here is, as per the calculation or the understanding of the conditioned souls, where Srila Prabhupada is saying that the universe is by nature dense darkness, and therefore the total creation is called tamas, or darkness. The night is the real feature of the universe. So Srila Prabhupada is saying that the real feature of this universe is night, where it's dark everywhere. So Srila Prabhupada speaking this way is per the purview of the conditioned soul, but not to enlightened souls. And Krishna himself does not consider that this part of his kingdom is full of darkness. Is that the understanding?
Yes. So, yeah, I think you want, you just repeated what I said. Yes, that's right. That's correct.
Okay. Well, because
but then the Lord will show the light to the sun through his pure devotees, through transcendental knowledge, and eliminate the ignorance. And the darkness is called tamas, so it's for eliminating the ignorance.
Yeah. Well, there was one important comment you made, very, very relevant and very important, but it's also very complex. And we probably may not be able to discuss it at length in today's gathering, but whatever we discuss, I mean, however little it is, if we attempt to discuss it, it may be of interest and beneficial to some of us. And that is, you rightly said that one very important aspect of devotional service is consumption of prashadam. And I loved prashadam. I still love prashadam, but not as much as when I was really young. And I thought my initiation name would be Prashadam Das. But you were rightly saying that nothing can contaminate prashadam. So this statement we hear from the scriptures that do not hear the holy names of the Lord from non-devotees is just like milk touched by the lips of a serpent. It becomes poisonous. So we have discussed this at to some extent on this particular platform a couple of times, but it wasn't sufficient enough. How can the Supreme Lord, the Absolute, his name is not different from him, everything in association with Krishna is absolute, is complete, pure. How then does the holy name become contaminated by some stupid, crazy individual calling on the name? Doesn't that make that crazy individual more potent than Krishna? Which we know is not the case. So what does it mean when the scriptures say milk touched by the lips of snake is poisonous? So do not hear the holy names of the Lord from non-devotees.
Yeah, Krishna can do what he wants. So he withdraws himself from the name. As I said, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, one gets a counterfeit name, as if like, you go to change a currency, you get counterfeit money. So one who's insincere, or one who is trying to chant in such a way to, as a Mayavadi or someone envious, then their poison will come through. Even if they don't chant the holy name, even if they just say anything, if they're giving advice, or even if they give you a hug, it can be contaminating. We don't want to deal with these non-devotees in this, especially these in-person Mayavadis. So Krishna withdraws himself from the name. He will not be there. He decides where he wants to be. So even though it sounds like he's not there, and those who want to be misled and cheated, they're the ones that get contaminated and misled. But those who are sincere, they may hear them, but Krishna protects them from such poisoning. So if they're innocent and they want to hear something real, then Krishna gives intelligence from within. It's like, no, that's not the real thing. And then when they hear devotees, then they respond, okay, this is the real thing. Because Krishna is in the 15th. He gives forgetfulness, knowledge, and
Yeah.
So he's the one.
I was thinking that just as Srila Prabhupada said in so many different places, that whether one chants the holy name of the Lord in a namabas, or even in so-called, excuse to say, offensive manner, you still get some benefit. There is this story in the Ramayana where Vibhishan tricked the people in what's the name of this demon's city? that do not, this name is called Mara, 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 instead of Rama. But even though they were chanting Mara, Mara, they still got some benefit from it. So it becomes a bit difficult to accept that this holy name of the Lord, that is not different from Krishna, becomes poisonous.
Yeah, because that wasn't done in such envy. The Mayavadis, particularly, when they chant Hare Krishna, they speak on Krishna Katha, then they're trying to eliminate Krishna. They're consciously trying to get rid of the person who is Krishna. It's like clear, like this. But then the two things, the devotees, they know some tricks. So to trick people. Because if you chant Mara, 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 then it turns into Rama. Then you're not consciously thinking like, oh, this is my enemy. This is not, you know, I'm very happy chanting his name. So it's kind of more unconscious. So it's even some in the sixth canto say even one says jokingly, you know, or if someone says just, you know, if they're tripping over or something like that, they get benefits. So this is along the lines of Namabas. It's particularly aiming this like the milk touched by the lips of a servant. It's more for the impersonals and Mayavadis. And Lord Chaitanya said not to hear from Mayavadis, otherwise one's spiritual life is doomed. But like people who just don't know anything about Krishna, or you know, they get tricked by a devotee, because devotees know how to do tricks to engage people. And then Krishna is merciful because the devotee is merciful to them. So when the devotee gets involved, then Krishna has to give mercy. Just like Nityananda got involved between Chaitanya and Jagai Mara. So there needs to be a devotee involved.
Well, these impersonalists sometimes are also referred to as Mayavadis. And these impersonalists are also considered transcendentalists. It is said that there are two types of transcendentalists, the personalists and the impersonalists. So impersonalists are not against Krishna per se.
Yes.
They believe that God is not a person, it's an energy. And so when Krishna appears, they think that the energy has now assumed this form. So Srila Prabhupada says that since they are denying the personal form of the Lord, they're killing Krishna. Of course, nobody can kill Krishna, but that is what it means. So in this way, they are not very much advanced, but well, we will leave it there. But it's a very nice subject matter we can discuss at length at some point in time.
No, it's fine. But I mean, if one wants to dive further, they can go into the Harinam Chintamani of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and it talks about chanting in false faith, which is particularly the personalist Mayavadi. And then if one hears that, they can be affected. There are Brahmavadis and Mayavadis. So Brahmavadis are not envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They're just more attracted to the Brahman effulgence. So that's their goal. But they still honor the Supreme Personality of Godhead as spiritual. But the Mayavadis, they call everything Maya, even the form of the Lord. It's material, and all his activities is material, and they call it all out. So that's the people we don't like. That's the rascals that Prabhupada is calling out on. Yes.
Well, the Ashwini Kumaras were impersonalists. Shukadev, by whose grace we are relishing the Srimad Bhagavatam today, was an impersonalist. And if we have to follow Lord Chaitanya's warning, which as Vaishnavas we must follow, then how do these people get help?
But like I said, they're not envious. They're Brahmavadis. They were not Mayavadis.
Okay. All right. Okay, so thank you for such a wonderful discuss.
I saw there was like 2 other hands there. I don't know, but if they want to ask, they should contact me directly.
Please, if you have something to ask, please unmute and ask. Don't raise your hand, just unmute and ask.
It's okay. Hey, but
Dr. Hassan, just unmute yourself. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
This Heritage, please go on.
All glory to you, dear, all glory to Prabhupada, and all glory to you. Thank you, thank you for your class. Yeah, when there is something that we usually hear, like today you have repeated a couple of times about how Lord Chaitanya has been warning us not to hear from the New Testament. And you are a preacher yourself. You go and all.
Oh, he's in the elevator.
Yeah, I think
he went to the elevator.
So I think we may go to Dr. Hassan, by which time after he's done.
He's coming out of the elevator, looks like now.
Probably.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. If you can put the device closer to you, I still couldn't hear.
Okay. My question is, we always hear that we shouldn't hear from the New Testament. So, yeah, if we take that advice, we also are preachers. We go out to go and preach, and we want people to listen to us. We want people to buy books. So if they all take that same stance, that don't hear from the Hare Krishna, then what happens? Because usually, like if I meet you and you listen to me and I listen to you, then at the end of the day, someone will take some lesson from the other person.
I see.
If we are taking the stance that, hey, because I remember that is it Srivas Vanachari? Yes, Srivas Vanachari. One of these senior devotees once was explaining how he became a devotee.
Yes.
That he was once with the Ekan group, and they were preaching about hearing the sound of the flute. That hearing the sound is the topmost into the topmost realization. So one devotee, he came in contact with one devotee, and the one devotee asked the question that, okay, if hearing the sound is the topmost realization, then who is playing the flute?
Yes.
And that is what attracted him to look for who is playing the flute.
Mm-hmm.
That is Srivas Vanachari.
Okay. So now, if we are saying that don't listen to these people, don't even hear them. What about if everybody takes the same stance? Don't listen to the Hare Krishna. Don't even go near them. And I know a lot of Christians also do that. Hey, these people, don't go to them. Don't go even close to them. They will convince you.
Yes. We don't care. We'll preach anyway. They can say whatever they want. We'll follow Lord Chaitanya and preach even more harder. And if they don't want to listen, we'll go on Harinam. And the ears are always open to hear transcendent sound. They're never closed. So we'll always put the sound vibration out there of the holy name and the Srimad Bhagavatam. We don't care for their opinions. We just care about pleasing the previous acharyas. We don't care about public opinion.
No, what I'm saying is, I'm not talking about public opinion. What I'm saying is, if people take that stance, then and they don't take the books, then what is the purpose of our book distribution? Because
they're hearing. No, they're still hearing. They're hearing from their own priest. Don't go hear from Hare Krishna. They hear Hare Krishna. Don't go to Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna is bad. So they still hear Hare Krishna. Eventually they'll be like, what is it then? What's so bad about it?
Well, thank you for
there's a saying that even bad publicity is good publicity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we have Dr.
Okay,
Hassan.
Dr. Hassan.
Hare Krishna, I guess. Please kindly accept my humble respect obeisances. All
Hare
glory to good
Krishna.
and love to Prabhupada and all glory to the assembly devotees. I have this question. I'm kind of confused, and I think I can bring this topic here, and I need some clarification. For instance, if we say Krishna consciousness is a movement, it's not a religion, and if you're a Christian or Muslim and you follow Krishna consciousness, you don't have to become a devotee, but your life will be, you become a good Muslim or a good Christian. I'm kind of confused about that. Yesterday I was I went to visit the temple, and I was sitting in front of the Goswamis, and I was looking straight into Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami. And I have heard their stories before. They were Muslims and they become devotees. And they have a very big impact in Krishna consciousness. The same thing goes to Haridas Thakur, who I also dear in my heart. And I know some senior devotees who were Muslims, and they converted to Krishna consciousness. And if you meet them, you see how beautiful their life is and how knowledgeable they are. So I began to think about this deeply, that how can a Muslim follow Krishna consciousness and he become a good Muslim, or a Christian follow Krishna consciousness without become a devotee and he become a good Christian? I'm very, very confused about this. So if they say somebody is a Muslim and follow Krishna consciousness, without become a devotee, his life, he will become a good Muslim. I don't understand it very well. If you can help me to understand this.
Yes, no problem. No problem. Yes, so he'll definitely become a good Muslim and Christian because the essence of religion is the same, obviously, to develop love of God. So many times we do meet people and they're very attached to the tradition they were born with or they've been practicing for some time. So it's a preaching strategy to say that, no, you grab the knowledge of Krishna consciousness and then you'll see that you'll become a better Christian or Muslim. So then in the first canto of the Bhagavatam, it talks about the principles of religion, the Dharma, the bull, it's a bull. It takes a form of a bull and it stands on 4 legs. So the 4 legs of religion is truthfulness, mercy, austerity, and
Cleanliness.
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 Cleanliness. There we go.
Yes.
Cleanliness. So we automatically, as just practitioners, we automatically abstain from meat eating. So that means we are very merciful. If you're religious, you have to be merciful to all living entities. If you're killing other living entities and claiming to be a lover of God, but you're mistreating his children, how can you be a lover of God, for example? So then we have another regular principle to avoid intoxication. So if you're killing animals, you get rid of mercy. So if you want to be austere, so, everyone has some austerity they have to perform. Like in Islam, there's Ramadan. It's an austerity. So you can think more about Allah and become closer to him and dedicate, instead of your body, you dedicate more for him. So that's the type of austerity. And the thing that gets rid of austerity is intoxication. And Muslims, they're supposed to stay away from cigarettes and alcohol. And it's also not encouraged in Christianity. Even if you're atheist, it's not encouraged. You know, you have like these alpha male podcasts, red pill podcasts, and they're telling men like, don't be lazy at home playing video games and going in and drinking. They say stop drinking, it's a waste of money. Go to the gym, you know, be regular, be austere. So you have character. So it's a religious principle to improve life, and especially if you want to be a lover of God, you have to make a sacrifice in order to increase your love for God. So we've had mercy, austerity. Mercy, when we avoid meat eating, we become merciful. When you avoid intoxication, you become austere. And then cleanliness. So we avoid illicit sex. So illicit sex gets rid of cleanliness. Not just cleanliness on the external, but especially internal of the mind. So that act of sex, or even what's popular in the world, men are bombarded by pornography and engaging in losing their tejas, their power, through masturbation. So these dirty minds, people have dirty minds. This is due to illicit sex. So good Christians, they only have sex for propagating children. Islam as well, with one's wife, and okay, not with one's sister, mother, whatever, like this. So better off marrying many women like this and having many children, so they become lovers of God, God conscious children. So we follow that. This is a religious principle of cleanliness, to avoid illicit sex. And then the last one is truthfulness. So when you don't gamble, avoiding gambling, and this can also lie on the realms of speculation. But let's look at gambling. We can say how detrimental gambling is. And around any casino, all the other sinful activities exist. Prostitution, violence, so many things exist, and it's terrible. So gambling, it should be avoided. And Krishna says even in the Gita, of cheats are in gambling. So it's the biggest cheating ever, you know. It's like, I'm going to the casino to win, but look how big the casino is, how rich they are, you know. It's like, of course you're gonna lose. And they cheat you when they let you win a few times, so you become addicted. And people, they lose their whole house, they lose their family, they commit suicide, they get involved in debt to the wrong people. So gambling, sports is all surrounded by gambling. So this is due to cheating, so a lack of truthfulness. So if you don't gamble as a Christian, if you don't gamble as a Muslim, then you can easily become a lover of God. You're not cheating anyone, not cheating yourself. A cheat, someone is insincere, cannot come to God. There's no hope for them. So we can see the Bhagavatam presenting these four religious principles of mercy, austerity, truthfulness, and cleanliness. We can become a lover of God. And that's the purpose of a Christian, that's the purpose of a Muslim. Why one would officially join the Hare Krishna movement or ISKCON is that you're around people, you will not find a better spiritual institution than ISKCON. Because there they show you directly how to become a lover of God. So they'll tell you in Christianity, Muslim, in Islam, yes, how you should be a lover of God, but they will not show you actively, practically how we love God, how we serve God. And we have very practical measures how to do that and how to upkeep the four regular principles and these and of mercy, austerity, cleanliness, and truthfulness. Whereas what most people, especially in the first world, have experienced Christianity, they find so much cheating or like child abuse by seniors in the institution. In Islam, they have this whole thing of terrorism that's plaguing it. So I mean, there's like a realm of like materialism there. I'm not saying that's not there in ISKCON, it's also there. But the teachings of Prabhupada really hold you, if you follow that deeply, then you can see how, despite your traditional background, if you follow these teachings in the Bhagavatam, you can be the best Christian and Muslim. I'll finish with one more point. There is a big preacher, a pastor in America. I don't know the name. I'll try and find it out. Jade Whitmire just saying that he is preaching to his congregation, we must do devotional service to the Lord. We must do devotional service to the Lord. And he's holding Bhagavatam in his hand as he's preaching like this. But he's applying it to Christianity. So this knowledge that we present, the Bhagavatam, can be applied in any religious tradition if one is sincere and is broad-minded. Yeah. So big answer, but I hope we answered.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Your Grace.
Yeah.
I am not really satisfied with the answer, but I think
Oh, really?
yes.
Okay. What?
Yes, because
Prabhu, can I give a little contribution to, if that
Sure.
can make him clear?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. It's like before I became a Hare Krishna, I was a Catholic, and I used to serve on the altar, a master. And at a certain point in time, when I was in high school, during my latter days in high school in 1978, I was questioning a lot of things that the Catholics do. So I approached my Reverend Minister, my Reverend Father, and I started asking so many questions, like, why do bad things happen to good people? When we were in school, there are some boys, any stupid thing that happens in school, they are included. But they didn't have any trouble paying their school fees. They are always running out of the school, going to movies and everything. But they didn't have any problem when it comes to paying school fees and materially enjoying life. And there are students who were in the school who were very devoted. They were members of the Scripture Union, and you could see their life that they are very good students. But every now and then they will be stuck home. They didn't even have the means to pay their school fees. So I started questioning my Reverend Minister, my Reverend Father, that what is this thing? You always preach to us that God is love, and He rewards us accordingly. So how come these nice people here, they cannot even afford their school fees? And look at these rascals. Everything is going on nicely for them. And anytime I ask the question, the answer he gives me is, have patience. When you grow, you understand. So when I became a devotee, when I started listening to the Hare Krishna, all the questions I used to ask my Reverend Minister were answered. All the questions were answered. And I said, oh, these people, maybe they have something I can learn. And when I actually interacted with devotees. Every single thing that I was doing on the altar, when I was a mass server in the cabinet, every single thing that I was doing, now I understand it fully. Why they do that? To the extent that one time we went to a wedding, even as a devotee, I was dressed in dhoti. We went to a wedding at one Govinda Prabhu's brother-in-law's wedding. We went to the wedding, and when we went there, in front of the Catholic altar, I fell down prostrated and offered prostrated obeisance. And later on, the priest, when he was preaching, he was making reference to that prostration that I made. That you guys, you always come here, you say you are coming to worship God. When you are coming, you are wearing your big shoes and all you see somebody who doesn't even call himself, what he did, he respects the deity of Jesus. He respects the deity of Mary. So it Krishna consciousness has given me a deeper meaning of what I used to do on the altar that I didn't have no understanding of. I was just doing it because I was asked to do it. But Krishna consciousness made me understood it. And today, when we are talking in our school forum, and somebody brings something and starts attacking the Catholics, I'm the one the Catholics look forward for me to defend them because they know I have a better understanding of what they are doing. So the question of when you become a Hare Krishna, you understand where you are properly. This is my personal experience that I'm trying to relate to Bhakti Hassan, for you to know how we talk that when you become a devotee, you understand deeply about things that you used to do in your as a Muslim or a Christian. Because there are a lot of things we do as Muslims and Catholics and Christians. We just do it mechanically without having any deeper understanding. But immediately you come in contact with devotees and you begin to understand certain things. Oh, wow. Now I understand it.
Very nice.
Thank you
Yes,
for sharing.
thank you so much.
Thank you, brother.
Because to my little understanding, if somebody from another faith he come to encounter with the Krishna consciousness, then he will give himself totally to the Krishna consciousness. Because for my faith before, I find it very, very difficult to follow Krishna consciousness and be in the same faith. To me, I think it will not be possible for somebody to follow Krishna consciousness and stay in that faith.
Mm.
So that is why I was asking this question.
I see. Yeah, I think Hari Chakra,
Yes, so
personal
thank you.
experience really solved that. I think.
Yeah, thank you so much, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Shrimavara Prabhu, yes, please.
Hare Krishna, my obeisances. Our glories to Prabhupada. Thank you, HARINAMANANDA Prabhu. We'll just say a quick contribution on that note. Our Guru Dev, Bhakti Maharaj, used to say that there are two practitioners of religion. There are the esoteric and the exoteric. So the exoteric, those are the ones we see in general, and they are attached to the externals. So they're exoteric. The esoteric, they are one, even though they may be in different religious confessions, but they go deeper. So like the Sufis in Islam and the Christian mystics and the devotees in Krishna consciousness, they actually don't see any differences in their practices. They speak and they harmonize and they understand each other and each other's practices without necessarily giving up one faith for the other, because already they are into the esoteric practice. So all those who are attached to the external procedures of worship, they will always have difficulty in accepting another faith or trying to practice differently if they learn something new. But those who are esoterics in any faith, they're actually one in their practice. They don't see differences. The Sufis, when they see the devotees, they are Muslims, but when they see the devotees, they become even very happy and they like interacting with devotees because they understand each other better. The Christian mystics, the same thing. So becoming better Muslim and becoming better Christian means that one can go deeper. We have many, Guru Dev used to have many Sufi friends and who never really thought of giving up their religion as Islam because they just feel that they are doing the same thing already. You understand? So those are the few points I want to make. That those who are attached to external aspect of religion, they are the one who see a lot of differences. Of course, they're going to see differences because the externals
are influenced by culture and time and place and circumstances. But the internal aspect of religion is one, like Prabhuji rightly said, love of God. And all those who are pursuing that aspect of love of God, they don't see differences. In fact, when they interact, it helps them to become better in their area. I give one example. Uh, Once I met a Muslim and learning that we're vegetarians, and then he said, "You people, your prayer will be heard more by God." And I said, "But you people, you eat meat as Muslim." He said, "No." He said, "When we have a special prayer to make, like Kalwa," he said, "there's a prayer called Kalwa in Islam. When you have to do that prayer, you don't eat meat. It may be for a month, it may be for 2 weeks, or depending on what time you want to devote yourself. And at that time, you are supposed to abstain from meat totally." So he
Yeah,
said
that,
that
that is very, very true.
and he
Yes.
said
Yeah.
that if you are doing this every day, then that means you are actually very closer to God and your prayer will be heard by God, because we do it occasionally just to intensify our prayer. So you can see that a Muslim can become a better Muslim without necessarily giving up when it comes in contact with Krishna consciousness. Now, last point, Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami, they were not Muslims.
No.
They associated with Muslims. They were Brahmanas.
Yeah.
But because they were associating with Muslims, they were being, rejected by the Brahmanical community. They kind
Because
of
they went
like,
for Muslim ruler.
yeah, because they were associating with Muslim, but they were not Muslim originally. They were
Yeah.
Brahmanas. So they only returned to their original, kind of faith.
Yeah.
Only Haridas Thakur was, of course, a Mohammedan, but Sanatana and Rupa, they were
Rupa.
not. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. In fact, today, Madhuvan Prabhu and Shimabara Prabhu, you took words out of my mouth. But it's so beautiful that you wonderful devotees shared. Because I was going to share about Bhaktivinoda Swami Maharaj also, that he had lots of friends from different religions. And these friends, they related to him as if they were his disciples, but they were all leaders in their respective religions. But when they meet, they feel that they are all saying and doing the same thing. So Srimad Prabhu did not say this of himself, but Christian reverend ministers come to him to study from him, learn from him, and then they use what they've learned from him to go teach the pulpit. Same as Srivas. Reverend ministers will come to him and preach to them. Srivas will preach to them, and they will furthermore transfer the preaching they received from Srivas Vanachari to preach to the pulpit, because they know that this is the truth. And if you deliver, sometimes the problem we have is, like Srimad Prabhu always says this, that is the packaging. The way we deliver the message to the public is the problem. Some of us are not very much trained. And in fact, today I'm very much impressed, of course, always, but today particularly, I'm very much impressed with HARINAMANANDA Prabhu's presentation so much, because they are very, very relevant and very, very important. So HARINAMANANDA Prabhu, thank you so much for your love, wisdom, and dedication and sense of integrity to our principles.
Yeah, it's nice to be with all of you, and I'm happy to hear about all this interfaith dialogue, and that we don't need to really take over churches or mosque or anything, but we can be advisors to their leaders. I think this is amazing, and I think more and more of this would be something very powerful. And I never knew anything of this, so yeah, it inspires me as well to hear about it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, if the Christians did not see the commonality of what Hare Krishnas are doing and the Christians are doing, they wouldn't invite Bhaktivedanta Maharaj to come preach to their pulpit. They will invite Bhaktivedanta Maharaj. He will go with the devotees. They allow us to play kirtan in their church, and Gurudev will preach. And they will all be in love with the preaching. They don't see any difference at that material moment because of the way Gurudev delivers. It is not a watered down, it's the same philosophy, but the way it is presented, it makes everybody feel that, what have I been thinking? I thought these people are strange, they are different from what I'm practicing, but we are doing the same thing. So it's true, whatever the scriptures say is true, and whatever the Acharya says is true, that you become a better Christian, you become a better Muslim. It all depends on the Hare Krishna devotee who is associating with the other religious parties. Well, HARINAMANANDA Prabhu, this is your class. Thank you for giving us opportunity to also say some things. And if you may have some concluding words you want to say, you may do that before we bring this to a final close.
Yeah, we're always dependent on the Lord, so our life is always trying to seek His shelter. This is our endeavor in life, trying to just always seek His shelter.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I almost forgot this, but when you first turned on your camera and I saw you, I saw the saffron jacket or something behind you, and it looked like a danda. So I was thinking, oh, this is a future vision the Supreme Lord is revealing to me, that very soon you will be carrying a danda. So
No, I have a
may
long way to go.
Krishna
By
make
your
it happen.
blessing.
May Krishna
Your
make it
blessing.
happen. Die. Please, devotees, we're going to humbly request you all to kindly unmute, and we all chant our Krishna Maha Mantra to express our appreciation to our revered speaker, the ecstatic Harinamananda Prabhu. Jai! Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
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 Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Rama Rama.
Hare Hare.
Come on,
So Namo Buddhaya.
Namo Namaha. Namo Namaha.
Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.
Jai.
All glories to His Grace Harinamananda Prabhu ki jai.
Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Hare.